Simon, you have been my most booked expert so far this year. And so thank you for taking a few minutes to talk with me about why you're trending.
Oh my
I'm curious
goodness.
why you think that is.
I don't know. I think I took the mask off and decided to just be real and realize there's no way to pandemic proof your life. Just
Mm,
embrace it and go with it.
yeah. Well, and I've been, of course, I read your book this week and I've been watching some of your old clips. And it's so funny that all the things that clients are asking for right now is the exact same things that they've been asking us for the last 10 years. Like the pandemic is new, but what people need is not new. And your material from years ago is just as relevant right now. Have you found that to be true?
Yeah, because I think we're encouraging people to flourish. We're inviting people to look through the windshield of tomorrow instead of the rearview mirror of yesterday. And
Mm-hmm.
let's figure it out and move quickly.
Mm-hmm. Right. We can't take our feet off the gas,
No,
but
not at
also we
all.
can't afford to burn out.
No, that's true. So true.
So I was on your website this morning and I just loved the caption that your career, and your business can be brilliant. And I feel like that's such a loaded statement for so many people. So many people would immediately read that and go, no, it can't. I'm stuck, or I'm too deep down to get out of this, or I don't have the skill set to have, a brilliant life.
Mhm.
Um, how do you respond to that? How do you respond to people who would instantly just say, no, it's not possible for me?
One of the challenges that I had in my own life is I was listening to the gremlins of fear, worry, uncertainty, and stress. And what I recognized, I had to brush those gremlins off of my shoulder, and I had to grab a hold of the steering wheel, and say, I'm going to take control of this situation and not allow my mentality to literally cause me to play down, live small, give up, throw in the towel. And it's been a daily decision. So I think what I'm encouraging people to do to say, listen, you can take control of your life, but it starts with the decision that you make every single day by what you think, by what you say, by what you feel, by what you do.
Tell us about that research you did on the brain and like what's going on in the unconscious, and then how many data points from the unconscious are actually going to our conscious. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so there are millions of messages that come at us every single day. And our unconscious, we're just unconscious to it. They just come in, and then the conscious part of us picks up on, oh my goodness, I need to do something about this. And so that few bits of information that gets through controls your behavior, your habits, your outcomes, your results. And what we have to be very mindful of, the data that comes through our eyes, the data that comes through our ears, the data that comes through our hands. And we have to say, is this serving us in the direction we're trying to go? Or do we need to find the control alt delete and
Yeah.
delete from the mind drive and the hard drive those thoughts that don't allow us to be the most productive person that we can be, and those thoughts that keep us from thinking that we don't belong or we don't matter. So you've got to like move that out of the unconscious, because you don't want to become a part of your system, so that consciously you're consciously aware. Am I present to this moment? Am I listening? Am I thinking about the words that are coming out of my mouth? Are they kind? Are they meaningful? Are they helpful?
Mm-hmm. And not even coming out of our mouth, but internally, right? The
Yes.
conversation going on inside so much of the day, it's not helpful and it's not positive, and it affects how we show up in different areas, right?
Yeah, it totally does, because something happens and then we build a story in our head
Yeah.
as to what happens, and the story becomes more powerful than what happened. And it's
Right.
all the tape that's running in our
Mm-hmm.
head. So we have to find a way to cut the tape. And we
Yeah.
cut the tape by shifting our behaviors, our habits, which impact the results that we produce.
What made you aware of that? Like I can think about some people in my life where they're not even aware that that negative tape is going, and they would say, I'm not a pessimist, I'm just a realist. And you're thinking, no, you're a pessimist, you just don't know it yet. Like what was it for you that helped you to recognize this tape is unhealthy and I've got to make that daily habit to stop it?
It's when I went through a divorce after being married for 25 years. I was
Mm,
emotionally unavailable. My daughter came in my home office one day. She said, "Hey, Daddy." I said, "Hey, baby girl." And I sensed she wanted to talk, but I was not emotionally aware enough to connect. So she said, "Hey, Daddy, I'll just see you later." And it hit me the next day that I missed the moment. And when I came back from out of town and I said, "Hey, Madison, you wanted to talk to me." My daughter, her name is Madison. And she said, "Daddy, it's okay." I said, "No, it's not okay, because if I don't change this behavior, you're going to marry a joker just like me." And that
mm.
was my epiphany. That was my aha, that I was showing up in life. My lights were on, but nobody was at home. I was just
Mhm.
going through the motions.
Hmm. And obviously, those lessons learned in life are so applicable to work, right? Because
Totally.
we're dealing with human beings at work as well as outside of it. But what a great aha moment to have and to teach it to her that
Yes.
we've got to be, we can't let these things pass up. We are, and
No.
we do have the ability to go back and mend things later.
Yes, we got to show up. I mean, her mother said to me, "You give everybody the best of you, but you give us the rest of you. And I don't want the leftovers
Mm,
anymore." And I realized I was giving the leftovers to my family because I was so focused on work, and my communication at work was not as sharp as it needed to be. So this is a rude awakening for me, that I realized I had to do
mm,
the work. I had to do the
mhm,
work, both at home and at work.
mhm. In corporate America, do you feel like there's been a shift over the last couple of decades? I feel like when I first started out, like you didn't talk about your feelings at work, you didn't talk about personal relationships. When you were at work, you were kind of expected to be a machine, right? Do you see that it's shifting?
The total shift has happened. It is on, because years ago, companies would say, "Bring us your head, but coat check your heart at the door."
Mm,
Now we are at the intersection of companies that have to provide psychological safety. So as people bring their best person to work, the best version of themselves, and when they intersect, they realize it's okay to understand the personal and the professional. It's all a blurred line, and you
right.
get everything. So am I in an environment where I can be safe to be
Mhm.
myself? I mean, think about now, virtually, the dog may bark, the baby
Right.
may cry, the doorbell may ring. It's a human moment, and it's life. Can we just go on with business? So
Right.
companies recognize they have to embrace this now. This is the world that we are in.
Mhm. I know that's been a little bit of silver lining for me. I used to always try to hide the fact that I worked from home, often, not full time, but often I was at home and would try to make sure the children were quiet and, any toys were like out of the view of the camera. And it was such a relief when everyone came home to not have to pretend anymore because they were all at home too. So I feel like there's definitely been some silver lining over the last year, and companies and leaders being able to recognize I'm a person struggling with things and you're a person struggling with things too. And we can identify that, but also stay focused on the job and be productive and creative together.
Amy, you are absolutely right. Everybody is learning that empathy is a daily
Mhm.
choice, that
Mhm.
I have to choose to be empathetic no matter what an individual situation may be.
Mhm. Going back to your website, your life, your career, and your business can be brilliant. Do you think that's a concept that women struggle with more than men?
Yes, because men have it hardwired in them to automatically say they're great at something that perhaps we're only good at. Whereas women, they can be great at something, but they downplay it, and will not play up how brilliant they are.
Hmm. It's such a weird trend, but I feel like we've read research in other areas that have alluded to that too.
Yeah.
We're both climbing the same hill, but it's harder for women to kind of break these habits and create new ones. And to be able to, like you said, look at your history and go, there's all these points when I actually was brilliant, but I'm not remembering that in this moment when I'm struggling through this, current situation.
And that's why I think any corporation and business that will be worth its salt in the future will understand that it must do right by women. in the
Mm.
workplace, from equal pay to equal opportunities, to ensure that they have a seat at the table, if not the head of the table, and be
Mhm.
okay with that. And that doesn't mean that men lose their man card and they're less masculine. No, 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 no. What we're saying is that there is a need to create belonging for everyone, because we need a diversity of thinking and thoughts in order for the organization and the business to move forward.
Mhm. I feel like it's clear now why you've been booked so much this year. You're hitting on a lot of things that organizations are, like going through growing pains and struggling with. So I used to book you back in the day. I used to book you mostly for change management topics. Um, and it's funny to me because there's so much research around all of these things,
Mhm.
but change is still so hard, even when it's a good change, right? Change is just hard. And why can't humans just like get used to it and keep moving forward, into the unknown? Why do you think that's such a like root point of struggle for humanity?
Yeah, so in fact, it's because the word change itself is like fingernails on the chalkboard, right?
Yes, yes.
So I think part of the reason why you have booked me so much, and it's been an amazing partnership and collaboration, is because we choose to talk about change. When I say we, the team and everyone that works with me, we talk about it in terms of adaptive resilience.
Mhm.
So how do I begin to adapt my behaviors to whatever change I might be going through? And that adaptive resilience, which is often been defined as overcoming the unexpected, is a positive spin and a different frame of reference to say, wait a minute, I can adapt to where things are going. I don't have to stay stuck here. So it gives you the permission to change or be changed by change. Just
Right,
adapt.
right. Well, and it's empowering, right? It's because
Yes.
at this point, hopefully, we all realize that change is never going to go away. Things are not going to go back to the way they were before. And when the pandemic is old news, there's going to be something else, right? There's just
Yes.
always, and I think I've been here for 14 years now. I mean, the conversation has not changed. Speaking of, it's always been about struggling into the unknown and
Yeah.
how do we do it better and do it as a healthy team. And yeah, it's encouraging to see that there is way more emphasis now on the human, the person, right, and their mental and physical health. But you're just hitting on all of these. Simon, what are you reading right now?
Oh my goodness. I have so many books going on right now, but one of my favorite books is called The Velvet Rope Economy. And what I love about what this author is talking about is how there are two worlds that we live in. The world that when you go to the NBA game, there are people that are sitting in the seats that cost the most, or they're sitting on the floor and they get access to everything. But then there's those that are a nosebleed. And what's interesting, there's a great divide happening right now in the country. So companies are recognizing that they must impact the communities that that they live in, even while they're making billions of dollars. So it's
Mhm.
this whole triple bottom line. How does the
Mhm.
company benefit? Stakeholders benefit, but the community in which they work benefits. So Velvet Rope Economy, really, really great read. And then another one is called Range by David Epstein. And the central thesis of his book is we've always been taught the world is focused on specialists, but now you need generalists that have a range of skills. To borrow a line from Marie Forleo, to create figure out ability. And figure out ability, when you have range, is I can figure it out and get it done.
Yeah.
So just a couple bucks. Yeah.
I love it. I've been listening to a lot of Brendan Burchard's podcasts lately, and he says, I have the ability to figure things out. And I love that because we don't know what we don't know. We don't know the
Yes.
future, but if we like men, have the confidence and kind of fake it till we make it that I can figure it out, we're way more likely to do so and maybe even enjoy the process, right?
Absolutely.
What are you listening to right now? What's your most played playlist?
Oh my goodness. So I listen to classical music. So the London Symphony, literally, I play it throughout the day because it is so relaxing and soothing. And so that's what I'm listening to right now. Really, really makes me happy.
I'll have to check that out. And then you have to go check out Kygo, my favorite Norwegian DJ.
Okay, all right,
Different pace, but it does the same
nice,
thing for me. It helps me to like calm
nice.
down and say, I have the ability to figure this out.
Nice. And every now and then I'll just pop in a little September from Earth, Wind, and Fire. That just keeps it.
Oh, love it. Okay, last question for you. Pretend you're actually at a conference, and we're starting to see those in-person events pop up on our calendars, right? Which is so encouraging. If you could just think about your career, like when someone pulls you aside after the conference and kind of wants to confess something, like what are those things that you hear from people, or what are the general themes when someone sees you speak virtually or in person and says like, hey, that really hit home for me because of this? What is
Yeah,
it?
so often I'll hear, how do I keep the momentum going after I've heard you
Mm,
speak? Because I wish I had you in my ear every day. I wish, somehow you were in Alexa, or I could get a video that would remind me every single day. So the first thing I hear is sustainability. How do we
mm,
sustain this? The second thing I hear is, do you have any suggestions for how do I establish my personal brand in a very
mm,
disrupted world? How can
mm,
I show up in a new, fresh way? I think the third thing is, how do I begin to interact with my team members with a fresh perspective where it's not just focused on me, but it's about we? So they'll just kind of ask me on the side, and I'll give them some thoughts, to consider. So yeah.
Okay, well, then you have to give us one tip, because especially listening to your Audible, you are so energetic. I think you should do all the Audible books that come out. Like your energy and your personality comes through. I was laughing out loud with you. Like you really are just, you just embody all of these things. But then I think about like, okay, but what about in those moments that I just feel like I can't do it? What's your advice when we feel like we sink down and just get stuck?
So the first thing I would say is to center yourself through breathing.
Mm,
Have the ability to take a deep breath, to inhale goodness, exhale whatever is dragging you down.
mhm,
Inhale possibility, exhale disappointment.
mhm,
Inhale joy, exhale sadness, whatever that might be. So center yourself through breathing. The second thing is, do something for someone else. And I'm
mhm,
so big on this right now. And it can be as simple as writing a handwritten note. Writing a handwritten note, putting a personal stamp on it, and mailing it to someone. What you've just experienced is the helper's high. You're saying, what is the helper's high? When I help someone else, the reward center in my brain begins to light up almost as if I've been on the receiving end of what I've just done. So find a way to make it
mhm,
about someone else. And then the third thing is, what are you most grateful for?
mhm,
Just be grateful and then articulate that. When you do that, you're experiencing equanimity and you're being kind to yourself. So if
mhm.
you're being kind to yourself, you can be kind to others. You can't give what you don't have. So you have to always start with, what is it that I can really be and do?
Mhm. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's do this again tomorrow. Just get my daily dose of Simon. Thank you so much for your time. I am so appreciative. I love the partnership that we have with you and our team and your team. And I'm looking forward to you keeping me busy this year. So thank
Oh,
you.
awesome. Looking forward to it as well. Thank you so much.